Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Headlines with Amr. Today is Friday, June 20th. We are one day away from the longest day of the year. Let's celebrate! There's too much horrid shit going on. Why don't we dive right into it with a couple of questions for you, my dear viewers. Number one, are you surprised that ICE illegally apprehended an NYC mayoral candidate and former comptroller? Number two, are you surprised that Donald Trump deployed the Marines to LA? Are you surprised by the assassination of a state rep and her husband by a man disguised as a police officer? Look, I understand. Maybe you're not that surprised. I mean, these people are evil, and their supporters are evil, but some of this stuff does seem a little too far, right? A little surprising, but what if I told you that in 2022, at the well-known Conservative Political Action Conference, there was a banner for a panel that literally said, quote, "We are all domestic terrorists." They're telling you who they are. Now, one of the panelists said, "Hey, come on, we don't really mean that." At the time, Texas State Board of Education hopeful Julie Pickering said that the title was tongue-in-cheek. "Nobody in this room is the domestic terrorist," she assured. I don't know, Julie. I kind of feel like your post posing with Ben Carson, where you called him a patriot, great patriot, and of course allowing your children to dress like this are indeed acts of domestic terrorism at a minimum, and a non-starter for anything else you've done. Another banner at that same conference warned, "You're next. The rise of the Democratic Gulag." I find that interesting because while the Democratic Gulag has yet to rise, whenever it finally does, I guess they won't be able to use that space in El Salvador. Next headline. Speaking of the nation's large security apparatus and their liberal use of power as of late, also, who the fuck are these guys? Why do they look like dum-dums that we all went to high school with that we kind of thought were never going to amount to anything? And they only look like slightly older with a mask. Who the fuck are these guys? Anyways, last week we talked about a once-beloved pseudo-TV therapist, Dr. Phil, joining ICE. Well, this week, Facebook is joining the Army. That's right. The U.S. Army swore in tech execs as Lieutenant Colonels this week, a rank that takes 20 years to achieve, and that's if you're even any good. Now, apparently they did this because these tech companies, OpenAI and Meta, are working with the Army to solve complex tech problems. Fine! That happens all the time, right? A little public-private partnership. We just don't normally allow people to skip a bunch of military ranks and become high officers. Where is this excessive reverie for the Army and tech coming from? Well, isn't that what this administration is all about? Trump 2.0 is this weird, strange, unholy, sick alliance of like the Trump 1.0 people who, they want to bring back fossil fuels, suspend habeas corpus, arrest people with political views that they don't like, send the National Guard to protest, send the Marines to protest, undo affirmative action, undo LGBTQ protections, and probably eventually still bring back Jim Crow or establish homemaking as an unpaid mandatory profession for mothers. Would anyone be surprised? So it's all these guys and tech bros. An alliance that one can only view in its natural habitat and harmony in this man's body. So, it's odd, right? How are these people getting along? How are they making this thing work? What could possibly make electric cars come together with reopening a coal mine in 2025? Well, I have one answer for you. White supremacy. That's it for this week. Thank you all for watching. I hope everyone has an excellent weekend, excellent summer. I hope everyone had an excellent Juneteenth. And I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.